Hey, Shalom Israel. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Barakathon. Yahweh Shemal Thon Bashem Yahweh Shai. This is the ISUPK started out of 1 West 125th Street under Commanding General Yohana. And we are not affiliated with any Hebrew Israelite group. You're tuned in with Priest and Officer Howard Moore, ISUPK, Kentucky. And tonight is our Monday night history class. Now, we teach that so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and North American Indians are the chosen people of God. And our oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Now, before we get into it, before we go ahead and get off into it, man, I want to invite every so-called Black, Hispanic, or North American Indian to tune into our content. ISUPK, Kentucky, under Commanding General Yohana. Of course, Monday night, you got the history class. All right, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. All right, Tuesday night, we got the Brotherhood class hosted by Officer of 1,000. I'm a Wonga Bar. And Wednesday night, the Kentucky podcast, Cry Out and Spirit Out podcast hosted by Officers of 1,000. I'm Wonga Bar and ISUPK. And come in here, these powerful priests of the Lord break down the viral videos going across the internet. All right, come get your entire timeline broken down by these two powerful priests of the Lord under Commander General Yohana. Now let's go ahead on and get it, y'all. I got some drop for y'all tonight. I got some straight drop for y'all tonight, as usual. Y'all know how we do it. Under Commander General Yohana, UPK, Kentucky, Monday night history class. How Black royalty lost power in Europe. All right, topic of tonight's class, how Black royalty lost power in Europe. Now, if you were unaware that Black people never ruled Europe, then you're behind the 8 ball in this class here. All right, if you never heard that Black people used to rule Europe, you're behind the 8 ball in this class right here. All right, topic of tonight's class is how Black royalty lost power in Europe. We finna cover how, first of all, how the chosen people of God got into Europe in the first place. We're going to read about a few of the Black royal families that ruled Europe, how they lost it, and where they ended up. See, that's the thing is a lot of people hear about people like King James. A lot of people hear about people like Louis XVI, right? But all of a sudden, it seems like these Black people just vanished out of Europe, vanished in the thin air. But I'm going to talk about tonight where these families went. All right, how they lost power and where they went. All right, ISUPK, Kentucky, under Commander General Yohana, Monday history class, how Black royalty lost power in Europe. Now, first of all, we're going to start off with Josephus. All right, when Jerusalem was seized in 70 AD, according to Josephus, 1 million people were killed during the siege of Jerusalem. All right, 1 million Israelites, 1 million Jews killed during the siege of Jerusalem. Now, in the aftermath, you had 97,000 that was sold into slavery. Now, if you never heard that the real Jews were Black, then again, you behind the 8 ball for this class right here, y'all. If you never heard the Jews were Black, you're behind the 8 ball in this class right here. All right, 97,000 Jews sold into slavery in the Roman Empire. So you had 97,000, all right, damn near 100,000 Jews, Black people, that was sold into slavery in Europe after the siege of Jerusalem, 70 AD. All right, as Niger and Rufus were names of families amongst the Romans from the color and complexion of men, so it seems death was from the swarthy and black color of those of the tribe or clan of Macduff. So it's talking about Black people amongst the Romans, and it said Niger and Rufus were common names amongst these people, and it referred to a swarthy complexion. All right, it referred to a description of the people that lived in the Roman Empire. Now, let me drop this and go to the scripture real quick and let you know that the word Niger or Niger is in the Bible. Let you know we're talking about the same people. Acts 13:1. Now, there were in the church at that was Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger. All right. Acts 13:1 let you know it's the same people in the Bible, in the New Testament. All right. This same race of people that were called Niger, that were taken into slavery in the Roman Empire. And this became a name. This became a physical description of black people in the Roman Empire. Let's walk. Thus, the legends in the history of the Scottish Highlands are both witnesses to the existence of purely black people. Source, Ancient and Modern Britons, Volume 1. Now, if there's any questions, we're going to be moving this thing quite along fast here. We're going to be moving this thing fast. If you have any questions, go ahead on and get them in the chat. All right, the legend and history of the Scottish Highlands are both witnesses to the existence of purely black people. All right, the inhabitants of this isle are well proportioned, talking about Scotland, generally brown, and some of a black complexion. They enjoy good fate of health and have a genius for all callings. All right, we're talking about black genius. All right, black and brown genius, talking about the inhabitants of Scotland. All right, the natives here are very well proportioned and being generally of a black complexion and free from bodily imperfections. They speak the Irish language and were as the other islanders. All right, source description of the Western Islands of Scotland. So Scotland used to be occupied by black people. All right, the very same black people that were taken into captivity in the Roman Empire after the siege of 70 AD. All right, Duff McMalcolm, the Black King of Scotland. All right, we have guessed that one division of the posterity of this powerful black king of the 10th century became known to Gaelic-speaking peoples as Magadub, shortened to Macduff, or the Clan of the Black. All right, this man's name means black. All right, if you have the word Mac in your name, all right, it originally comes from a black king. So all of your McDonald's, your McDowell's, right? All of this comes from the original Mac. All right, the Black King of Scotland. All right, Macduff is certainly a common enough Gaelic name. Macdub, the son of the Black King. Here's your source. Macbeth, the High King of Scotland, 1040 to 1057. All right, Robert the Bruce, King of Scots, 1274 to 1329. You see his coronation here. And as you can see, it's a black king being coronated. But the problem is, if you notice, he's got these YT people around him. All right, if you notice during this black king's coronation, he's got YT people around him. All right, and that's going to become a part of our fall, and we're going to get it in the Bible. Let's walk. Again, we're going to be moving through this thing tonight. All right, John I of Portugal, 1357 to 1433. Here's a picture of John I. See him rocking the afro, fleur-de-lis on the hat. All right, John I, the father of Alfonso, Duke of Braganza. The House of Braganza was the most wealthy Portuguese dynasty. The House of Braganza produced all four Brazilian monarchs. With the independence of the Empire of Brazil in 1822, the Braganzas began to rule as the monarchs. All right, here's John II of Portugal. Now, John II, he was the one that was responsible for expelling the Jews out of Portugal in 1492. Now, when it's talking about Jew at this point, it's talking about a religious practice. All right, it was a beef between black Christians, black Muslims, and black Jews in Portugal at this time. Now, the black Jews were sent to West Africa. all right, which had been discovered by the Portuguese in 1471. All right, from these banished Jews, the Black Portuguese, as they are called, and the Jews in the Congo, who were despised even by the very Negroes, they are descended. So we have a Black Christian king in John II, who's banishing Black Jews into West Africa. All right, here's your source. Black Jews from Portugal showing up in West Africa in the 1400s. All right, 1807, the Portuguese court moved to Brazil during the invasion of Napoleon. All right, we read earlier about the House of Braganza. All right, started by the son of John I. All right, these are Black people in Portugal. And it says in 1807, this Portuguese royal family moved to Brazil during the Napoleonic invasions of Portugal. All right, so when Napoleon invaded Portugal, this Black royal family moved to Brazil. All right, here's Maria II, House of Braganza, 1819 to 1853. All right, born in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. She was the first child of Emperor Pedro I of Brazil and of his first wife, Empress Maria, and thus a member of the House of Braganza. So we're talking about during the invasion of Napoleon, the invasion of Portugal by Napoleon, we have the Black court or the Black royal family migrate to Brazil. And we see this woman, all right, Maria II. As you can see, she's clearly Black, a member of the House of Braganza. And that's how the Portuguese royal family, that's how they lost power in Europe, all right, after the invasions of Napoleon. And we see this royal family end up in the New World in Brazil. All right, let's walk to Germany. All right, this is from a German tapestry, 1400. And if it's hard to see, it's an image of some white people attacking a Black castle. All right, as you can see, these white people ain't got no clothes on. They're covered up by leaves and sticks, and they're attacking this castle with sticks and clubs, like cave people. All right, they're attacking this castle with sticks and clubs, like cave people, looking like the Flintstones. And as you can see, you got Black archers trying to fend them off. And up in the castle, it's a Black king. And this king is King Rupert of Germany, 1352 to 1410. All right. You have a group of YT people clothed in leaves and sticks and attacking a castle full of Black people with sticks and clubs. All right. This was the condition. This was the condition for a lot of Black people during this time period. All right. Emperor Maximilian. All right. Maximilian I standing in front of the German flag. All right. 1459 to 1519. All right, Maximilian was king of the Romans from 1486, Holy Roman Emperor 1508 until his death in 1519. He was the only surviving son of Frederick III. All right, Charles V, 1500 to 1558. Here's your source. Charles V was a swarthy man. Now, swarthy is another word that means Black. All right, swarthy is an older English word that means Black. Now, who was he? All right, he was the Holy Roman Emperor and Archduke of Austria from 1519 to 1556, King of Spain from 1516 to 1556. He was the head of the House of Habsburg during the first half of the 16th century. His dominions in Europe included the Holy Roman Empire, extending from Germany to Italy. In the Americas, he ruled the continuation of a long-lasting Spanish colonization of the Americas. So, the conquest of the Americas, all right, specifically Central and South America, all right, Charles V was King of Spain during this time period. All right, you have a black king of Spain that ruled the Spanish Empire in the Americas. All right, here's Charles V or Carlos Quinto on the Inca kings list. All right, this was the king that ruled Spain when the Inca and South America were being conquered. All right, this was the colonizer. This was the colonizer who was king when the Inca Empire in South America was being conquered. And he puts himself on the Inca kings list. Let's walk. All right, Philip II, son of Charles V. All right, Philip II was of a melancholic complexion. All right, melancholic or dark complexion. All right, it says he derived it from his father, Charles V. Here's your source. All right, he was king of Spain from 1556 and king of Portugal from 1580, king of Sicily from 1554 until his death in 1598. The son of Charles V, he inherited his father's Spanish Empire in 1556. He continued his father's Spanish conquest of the Inca. This was known as Spain's Golden Era. So again, we have black royalty in Spain that was responsible for the Spanish conquest of the Inca in South America. All right, now they lost it. They lost it to a group of family called the Bourbons. All right, following the death of Charles in 1700, which triggered the War of Spanish Succession. And when we're talking about the Bourbons, we're talking about King Louis now. When we're talking about the Bourbons, we're talking about King Louis now. All right, this was the family that took over Spain, all right, after Charles II fell. All right, after Charles II fell, the House of Bourbon, they took over. So we're talking about a French family. We're talking about King Louis now. All right, here's a real image of Louis XVI. All right, source. It's a lock if it's hard to read. All right, source. It says Louis XIV's swarthy complexion and prominent nose were typically bourbon. Again, the word swarthy means black. All right. And prominent nose were typically bourbon. Bourbon was the name of the family. So that's the description of Louis XIV. All right. Louis XV, it says, was the handsomest youth in France. He had a swarthy complexion. All right. So do the math. Make sure your math is mathing. If Louis XIV is black, Louis XV is black, that means Louis XVI has to be black too. All right, here's a real image of Louis XVI and his wife, Marie Antoinette. All right, the French family that took over Spain after Charles II fell. All right, a real image of Marie Antoinette. All right, source. Marie was not considered beautiful by the standards of the day, which required a pale complexion, blonde hair, and blue eyes. Now you start to see ideas of white supremacy start to creep in. All right, you start to see ideas of white supremacy start to creep in. All right, it says Marie was not considered beautiful by the standards of the day, which required a pale complexion, blonde hair, and blue eyes. Marie was blessed with an abundance of dark curls, a swarthy complexion, and brown eyes. Again, the word swarthy means black. And here's your proof. This is where the word swarthy comes from. All right, Old English, black, dark, of night. Figurative, wicked, infamous. All right, the true Germanic word surviving in the continental languages, but displaced by the English black, of skin color, 14th century. All right, the word swarthy means black. All right, swarthy, dark colored, especially of skin, 1580s. All right, unexplained alteration of swarthy. All right, again, the word swarthy means black. All right, named for King Louis XVI of France in appreciation for his assistance during the Revolutionary War, Louisville, Kentucky was founded 1778. So Louisville, Kentucky. All right, Louisville, Kentucky. Anybody out here from Louisville, Kentucky? A black man, Louis XVI. That's where Louisville, Kentucky got its name from. All right, a black king, Louis XVI. That's where Louisville, Kentucky got its name from. All right, here's some more of that kinfolk. All right, Duchess Louise Henriette de Bourbon, 1726 to 1759. Clearly a black woman. All right, the House of Bourbon ruled France during the American Revolution. They were incentivized to move by President George Washington in response to the 1791 Whiskey Rebellion. At the time, Kentucky was part of Virginia, and Thomas Jefferson, who was governor at the time, gave out land to settlers as an encouragement to produce whiskey. The name of the county after the French Bourbon dynasty, in which Kentucky history states was an honor to the royal family for providing aid during the Revolution. The new drink was named after the county where it was produced. So the name bourbon, right? The bourbon that you drink, all right? The bourbon that you drink is named after this bourbon family, all right? This bourbon dynasty in France, this black family is where you get the name bourbon from. And it's where the drink bourbon is named after. All right, let's walk. Ultimately, unwilling to cede his royal power to the revolutionary government, Louis XVI was found guilty by treason. Now, what was going on in this time is that there was a beef between the royal family and a new revolution that was going on in France. All right. Certain nation states were popping up around the world and were overthrowing royal families. All right, just like the Revolutionary War in North America, when you had the colonists went to war with the crown of Great Britain, you had the common people that rose up and wanted to start a nation state or a country instead of having a monarchy ruled by a king. All right, so ultimately unwilling to cede his royal power to the revolutionary government, Louis XVI was found guilty of treason. All right, Louis XVI died at the guillotine, 21st of January, 1793. He was the last king to live at the palace, and the Revolutionary Tribunal gave him the nickname Louis the Last. All right, Marie was in prison in the Temple, 10th of August, 1792, and then moved to the Concierge shortly after the execution of the king in 1793. The Revolutionary Tribunal executed her on the 16th of October, 1793 on what is now the palace, or now the Place de la Concorde. All right, so this royal family, the king and queen, Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, were both put to death for treason, had their heads chopped off by the guillotine, and that's how this black royal family lost power, and then France established a nation state, or the modern country known as France today. All right, but you did have some black people that moved out of France. All right, the Huguenot rebellions were a series of rebellions in the 1620s in which French Protestants, the Huguenots, revolted against royal authority. This was a beef between black Protestants and black Catholics. All right, a beef between black Protestants and black Catholics. The black Protestants were known as the Huguenots. All right, here's an example. So when you hear the term French Protestant, just know we're dealing with a group of people known as Huguenots. All right, these were black Protestants, and they were beefing with the black Catholics at this time. So here's your Huguenots. All right, 15,000 or more Huguenots who came to America in 1685 were largely composed of the bourgeoisie, with many merchants and lawyers. Now, who else uses that term bougie but us? Who else uses that term bougie but us? All right, they were urban people and settled in the cities and achieved importance in colonial life as they were skilled in exercising leadership. All right, it may not be generally known that some of the best families in South Carolina are Moors by descent. Moor is another word that means black. We'll cover that in a minute. It says the crisp, curling black hair, swarthy complexion, again, swarthy means black, come up generation after generation. Many of our old Huguenot families, down to the present day, show strong traces of their Moorish descent. Again, the word Moor is just another word that means black. And we see these black Huguenots or these black Protestants that end up in South Carolina. And then here's a newspaper clip. All right, Huguenot street exhibit features 19th century New Paltz black builder. And we see a descendant of a French Huguenot. All right, let's walk. Let's walk. We're going to finish this off with the Stewart family. We're going to finish this off with the Stewart family. All right, the Virginia Company was an English trading company chartered by King James, April 10th, 1606, with the objective of colonizing the eastern coast of America. We're talking about the King James of the 1611 King James Version of the Bible, same King James. All right, the biggest trade breakthrough resulted after adventurer and colonist John Rolfe introduced several sweeter strains of tobacco from the Caribbean. Source: welcome the founders of America. All right, 1619, a Dutch ship with 20 and odd Negroes entered a port in the English colony of Jamestown, Virginia. All right, Jamestown was named after King James. All right, comes from the Stewart family. All right, the word Stewart comes from an Old Nordish root swart, which means black. All right, so the name Stewart comes from the same root word that swarthy comes from. All right, the name Stewart means black. All right, if the ancestor had a very dark complexion, the name was likely to become Moor, Schwartz, or Schwarz in German. All right, again, we read earlier about these French Huguenots being Moors, and Moor is just another word that means black or somebody with a dark complexion. All right, Stewart family crest. Here's the Stewart family crest. Fleur-de-lis patches. And up here. All right, Henry Stewart. All right, this is the father of King James. All right, Henry Stewart, the father of King James. All right, James Charles Stewart. He was King of Scotland and England. This is who Jamestown, Virginia is named after. All right, this was the colonizing family that founded what would become the 13 colonies. All right, the Royal Stewart family, who King James is a part of, is the family responsible for the colonization of North America and the 13 colonies. All right, Elizabeth of Bohemia, daughter of King James, all right, was electress in Germany and known as the Winter Queen. All right, Royal Africa Company. All right, the Royal Africa Company was an English trading company set up in 1660 by the Royal Stewart family to engage in the trade of extracted resources and human trafficking along the west coast of Africa. It was started by King Charles II, the grandson of King James. All right, so the Royal Africa Company started off as a trading company, but ended up in human trafficking along the west coast of Africa. And this was started by the Stewart family. All right, here's Charles II, grandson of King James. South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina is named after him. All right, Charleston, South Carolina is named after a black man and a member of the Stewart family. All right, Charles II was, in popular language of the day, a tall black man. Here's your source. All right. While its original purpose, again, talking about the Royal Africa Company, was to exploit the gold fields up the Gambia River, which were identified by Prince Rupert, it soon developed and led to a brutal and sustained transatlantic slave trade. So the British involvement in the transatlantic slave trade was started and sustained by the Stuart family, of which King James belonged to. The company that was started to get into and sustain the British involvement in the transatlantic slave trade was started by the Stuart family, of whom King James is a part of. And I bet you ain't learned this in history class. All right, here's Prince Rupert. All right, Duke of Cumberland, grandson of King James. He was the one that discovered the Gambia River. And this is what opened up the inner parts of West Africa. And this is what was able to get the transatlantic slave trade started as far as the British involvement goes. All right, Charles Edward Stuart leads the failed Jacobite Rebellion, 1745, in an attempt to put the Stuarts back on the throne through his father, James Francis Edward Stuart. Now, during this time in the British Empire, all right, you had two warring families. You had the Stuarts, and you had a German family known as the Hanovers. Now, the Hanovers took over the throne, and you had Charles Edward Stuart, a descendant of King James. He led the Jacobite Rebellion in 1745, and he led an attempt to put the Stuarts back on the throne through his father, James Francis Edward Stuart. All right, here's James. All right, a descendant of King James, and the same King James of the 1611 King James Bible. All right. Now, the Jacobite Rebellion, here's a description of James Francis Edward Stuart. All right, light brown complexion, gracious air, a little melancholy. Here's your source. All right, the Jacobite Wars, again, it was a beef between two families. It was the Stuarts, and it was a German family called the Hanovers. And it was a beef over the throne at this time. Now, the Hanovers won and put George I on the throne, and the Jacobites ended the Jacobites, which were the allies of the Stuart family, they ended up being put out of Scotland. And here's what happened. All right, Transportation Act of 1717 was an act of Parliament of Great Britain that established, regulated a bonded system to transport criminals to the colonies in North America for indentured service as a punishment for those convicted or attainted in Great Britain. Whereas in many of His Majesty's colonies and plantations in America, there was a great want of servants who by the hard labor and industry might make the means of improving and making the said colonies and plantations more useful to this nation. Over the next 6 decades, the acts used to its American colonies, transportation of convicts, and others helped supply the much-needed colonial labor, which in turn increased its production and benefited the realm as a whole. England transported its convicts, political prisoners, as well as prisoners of war from Scotland and Ireland to its overseas colonies in the Americas until the Revolution in 1776. All right, the Jacobites, the allies of the Stuart family, after they lost the Jacobite rebellions, they were considered political prisoners, prisoners of war from Scotland, and they were sent to work in colonies in the Americas. All right, they were sent to American colonies, either in mainly in Virginia and Jamaica, and these Black Jacobites, these allies of the Stuart family, ended up as slaves and servants in British colonies in the Americas. All right, Jacobite expulsion to the Americas, 1745. All right, and this is from a book called Jacobite Gleanings. All right, short sketches of Jacobites, the transportation in 1745. This is talking about the Jacobites. Again, they were the allies of the Stuart family. After they lost the Jacobite wars, these people were put on ships and they were sent to British colonies in the Americas, and they were meant to be used as slaves and indentured servants. And it's even got the ship logs. All right, the ship logs have name, age, profession, county, stature, and it has a physical description. All right, for example, Robert Adam, brown, smooth face. Dougal Campbell, brown complexion. John Kennedy, black, well made. John Stewart, here goes a Stewart, brown and ruddy. All right, this is what happened to the allies of the Stewart family after the Jacobite Wars. They were put on ships and sent to the Americas to be used as slaves and indentured servants. Again, we got the whole ship logs. All right, again, the name, the age, profession, county, all right, stature, and remarks. All right, Donald McGillis, black, short neck. James Nelson, black, swarthy. William Robertson, brown, well made. John Thompson, black. Look at some of these names. All right, look at some of these names. Now, we all heard that we got our last names from white slave owners. But that's not necessarily the case. That's not necessarily the case. If you look at some of these names, Nelson, Robertson, Thompson, all right, look at some of these names. If you have any of these surnames, you might not have got it from a white slave owner. You might have got it because your family were actually black people that were deported out of Europe and sent to the Americas. All right, here's your source, Jacobite Gleanings. All right, was Marcus Garvey a Jacobite? All right, Marcus Mosiah Garvey the first. This was Marcus Garvey's father, was born in 1837, the son of William Garvey. We've got a William Garvey here. It says a Jacobite was sentenced to transportation from London to Jamaica. All right, sources state that enslaved men routinely received their freedom in exchange for enlisting in the American Army during the Revolutionary War. Now, we just read that the Jacobites, which were allies of the Stuart family, and we just found a Stuart on this ship log, but the Jacobites were allies of the Stuart family after they lost the Jacobite rebellion, and George I, a German Hanover, was put on the throne. These Jacobites, these allies of the Stuart family, were put on ships, sent to the Americas to be used for slaves and indentured servants. Now, this source says that some enslaved men received their freedom in exchange for enlisting in the American Army during the Revolutionary War. Let's walk. All right, here's a list of men of Westmoreland enlisted 25th of May, 1776. List gave name, age, nativity, and complexion. All right, Joseph Edson, 19, Virginia, brown. John Wilkinson, 19, Virginia, brown. Hopkins Burlett, 19, Virginia, dark. John May, 25, Irish, dark. When it's talking about brown or dark, it's talking about the complexion of the men, as you can see right here. All right, these are black people. All right, this one down here is from Ireland. And these are black people that enlisted in the Army May 25th, 1776. Here's your source, Virginia Colonial Soldiers. All right, here's a roll of Captain Thomas Cookie's company, 13th of July, 1756. Roll gave name, country, and description. Henry Williams, Ireland, yellow complexion. We got a high yellow brother here. All right, Alexander Stewart, another Stewart. Scotland, dark complexion. John Davidson, Baltimore, Maryland, dark complexion. Thomas Brown, Maryland, dark stout. All right, again, it's got the complexion. It's got the description of these men's complexion that joined the colonial army. And we've got another Stuart from Scotland with a dark complexion, joined the army July 13th, 1756. All right, this is what happened to the Stuart family and their allies. They got sent to the Americas to be used as slaves and servants. All right, these people joined the colonial army to receive their freedom. All right, role of Captain Henry Harrison's company, 13th of July, 1756. Role gave name, nativity, and description. James Norville, Virginia, Brown, and Comely. All right, that's a Bible description. All right, that's Song of Solomon. All right, Brown and Comely. John Cockrell, Virginia, Indian mixture. All right, John Clements, Virginia, ruddy complexion. That's how the Bible describes King David. All right, William Williams, Virginia, a Negro. John Kelly, Ireland, dark complexion. All right, these are black people joining the military. All right, and we just read that slaves and servants would join the military to gain their freedom. All right, muster roll, Captain Barnaby Burns Company. John Wood, England, swarthy. William Reynolds, Ireland, brown. Charles Murray, Ireland, brown. James Marston, America, swarthy. John Wallace, Ireland, black. Again, black people joining the military to gain their freedom. And this is what happened. All right, you had enslaved and indentured people who would join the military to gain their freedom. And this is where you get the term free people of color from. All right, this is where you get the phrase free people of color. All right, over time, all so-called black survivors were shipped off to the United States and Caribbean islands as slaves and indentured servants, and Europe was thus cleansed of all black people. And this was the result. This is what happened to these black royal families that once ruled Europe. It says, over time, black survivors were shipped off to the United States and the Caribbean islands as slaves and indentured servants, and Europe was thus cleansed of all black people. All right, this is what happened to your black nobility. All right, your black royal families of Europe, they were all shipped to the United States and the Caribbean islands. And we read earlier about the black Portuguese nobility, how they ended up in Brazil after the invasion of Napoleon. So let's drop that. Let's drop that and go to the Bible. Let's drop that and go to the Bible. I appreciate y'all for hanging with me. All right, First Maccabees 3:48, and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. Now, why did I bring this out? Because we might have heard in school, growing up, history class, that all of these were white folks. Anytime we think these names, we think white folks. Anytime we think European, we think white folks. All right, because the heathen had sought to paint the likenesses of their images. All right, to the point of when we think European royalty, we automatically think YT people. All right, they've painted their likenesses so well that when we think European royalty, we think YT people. All right, let's drop that. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus 12:10. Ecclesiasticus 12:10 says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. All right, the Bible says never trust thine enemy. All right, never trust an enemy. We had a picture earlier what had Bruce, the King of Scots, during his coronation. He had YT people around him. All right, the Bible says never trust thine enemy, for like his iron rusted, so is his wickedness. All right, if you ever get rust on a vehicle, you know that thing spread. You get rust on the vehicle, you ain't finna stop that. You ain't finna stop it. So just like iron rusted and spread, all right, so is the wickedness of our enemy. All right, drop that, go to verse 12. Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. All right, the Bible said, sit him not by thee. When he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. All right, and that is what these YT people have done. Our oppressor, the devil that the Bible speaks of, they have stood up in our place in these royal families in Europe. All right, in these places in Europe, they used to have royal families that set up nation states like France. All right, they stood up in our place. All right, it says, neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. All right, and that's what these people have done. When Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette was beheaded for treason, these people stood up in our seat. All right, these people established a nation state in a modern day in the modern day country of France that would be free from black monarchy. All right, and thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. All right, the Bible says, remember these words. All right, and never let these people stand next to us, lest he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. All right, this is what our enemy is going to do every single time. All right, let's drop that. I appreciate y'all for hanging in there with me. All right, ISUPK Kentucky Monday night history class. And again, I want to invite every so-called Black, Hispanic, and North American Indian tune in to the content. Monday night history class, Tuesday, Brotherhood class, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. ISUPK Kentucky, taught by Officer of 1,000. I'm a Wonga boy. And of course, the podcast every Wednesday, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Cry Out, Spirit Not, the baddest podcast around, hosted by Officers of 1,000. I'm a Wonga boy. And ISUPK. And with that, we'll go ahead and end the class. All right, shalom. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shabbat Rakatham. Yahweh Shemar Thumb Bashem Yahweh Shah. Pay your Passover fee. Class dismissed. Right, it is that time of year again. 47 days until the 56th annual Passover. Pay your Passover fee. $200 per adult. Wednesday, April 9th, we got the lamb slaughter and round table of truth with Captain of 13,000 Mawakwa. Thursday, April 10th, we got the kids party and scripture breakdown with 12-Shir General Muhammad. Friday, April 11th, the all-black party featuring China Monet and Pastor Troy. And Saturday, April 12th is the Lord's Passover. Sunday, April 13th is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Again, 47 days into the Lord's Passover. Pay your Passover fee. Hey, hey, hey.
fuck about what them bitches gotta say. I'm a West nigga till they put me in the grave. I don't give a love fuck about what them niggas gotta say. I'm a West nigga till they put me in the grave. I don't care about what they say. Hey. Fuck with my Akima, fuck with my sisters, then I got a problem, I'm never gonna miss you. I got 100 hanging out the AR, I got a 50 hanging out the pistol. He say it's corner, I'm just being realistic. I be on them corner posted with the realest. If it's the Sabbath, then we going fishing. I'm reeling them in, that's a God-given mission. I'm really on 10, but I'm stamped in the pistol. I get the order, be glad of this mission. Hebrew Academy graduate, nigga. Training, go through the baddest conditions. I don't fuck with none but the baddest of bitches. She righteous, submissive, she glad to be with me. Had that thing Putin like Vladimir, nigga. She know I'm a prophet, she got to be listening. Disrespect, I ain't having that shit. Tell her go make some business from scratch. She bitchin' the different breed of black men. We don't do the back bend. I remember back when I was really trapping, trying to get the racks in, selling dope to black men. But now I'm trying to make it straight. Like, don't forget about my face. We standing up straight, can't fold us. Too heavy, the world won't hold us. Go get you some rank, I told you. Line up in these ranks, we soldier. You can take that to the bank, we focus on. How many times must we remind you? One body, one way, some break off, but never take off as a flex. When the Lord with your ain't no up next. It's just us, nigga, that's that on that. All that weak shit, that ain't no threat. Say you won't beat, bitch, with that ain't no sweat. We with all that. The Lord called a nigga out the world. I responded and called back. Oh Lord. And everything that they stole from us, fuck that shit, we want all that. Them niggas snitching and they act like bitches. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They killing women and they fuck with sisters. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They telling lies, switching up the doctrine. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They ain't gon' ride until they die, so that's why we unaffiliated with them. Come on the command and general, your hunter, we unaffiliated with them. Like they tongue and they say they keep that shit 100, we unaffiliated with them. They telling lies, switching up the doctrine, that's why we unaffiliated with them. They ain't gon' ride until they die, so that's why we unaffiliated with them. That's why we unaffiliated with them. I cannot fuck around with fake niggas. We taking ground when we in your city. You better have the women, have the liquor. Keep that bitch on me, please don't but the same. Don't be a fool and be another victim. Say you a goon, you just another Christian. How you my brother, you ain't in here with me. We in the gutter, deep down in the trenches. We with them niggas locked up in the prison. Black and Hispanic, Native American, Indian. We ain't just talking shit, but we living in it. We be everywhere, you can't miss it. And we be fresh as hell, take a picture. And we professional with the scriptures. Play, we gon' script them, yeah, we some killers. These nigga trippin', they mind blown. Swear business, forgive me if I'm wrong. I don't think they pause when niggas say that they be looking for niggas to slide. On the slide that I know about is when I assemble the block with the slide. For real, I get the order, you know that it's slaughter. See me and my niggas gon' die. The bigger the better for kingdom of heaven. You niggas get wet up by me cause I'm fed up. I rep UPK. My niggas won't let up. Got choppers, got nines, AKs, Berettas. You say you don't like me, you say you won't fight with what me and my nigga like, bitch, or whatever. You say you don't like me, you say you won't fight with what me and my nigga like. My nigga like. Them niggas snitching and they act like bitches. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They killing women and they fuck with sisters. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They telling lies, switching up the doctrine. That's why we unaffiliated with them. They ain't gon' ride until they die, so that's why we unaffiliated with them. Come on the command and general, your hunter, we unaffiliated with them. Like they tongue and they say they keep that shit 100, we unaffiliated with them. They telling lies, switching up the doctrine, that's why we unaffiliated with them. They ain't gon' ride until they die, so that's why we unaffiliated with them. Yeah. See, they always ask us like, why y'all fuck with such and such? Why y'all won't come together with such and such? I be like, we unaffiliated with them. Understand me, like, niggas be out here on some weirdo shit. And to be honest, that's why we unaffiliated with them. Hey, that's why we unaffiliated with them, yeah. Oh!
Work goes smoothly when you know the right steps. With Asana, you can coordinate tasks across teams and stay on track, so your team can spend more time celebrating wins. Try it for free at asana.com.
Don't let your strongest muscle be in your goddamn them Twitter fingers, nigga. get your shit together, man. I'm overrated, so overrated, overrated, so overrated, nigga. Coming on this bitch real fresh, bulletproof, high shoe, bitch, you better wear your vest. She try to get something off her chest, but the drip on her head made a mess. I'm a real piece of profit on this one, but nighttime sheet, I'm a beast. I'm like, here, eat it up, baby, eat. Here, eat it up, baby, eat. I walk with my pole like a pimp and the stick that I got up a ton. I walk around with a lot of blaze, babe, blaze, I lit a rip on it, yeah. Tonight it's a ride, I got a show, live show, and the nigga still indie. Yeah. Them UPK niggas winning, UPK niggas gifted. Hey. I had a little money, but I lost a little money for that punk ass job. Now I'm getting paid off passion, so it's only right that I stunt. All the nigga wanna hate, frustrates on the face, boy, a little wasting time. I don't hate being around broke minds, I motivate their ass and they grind. And that's a real ass leader, real ass nigga, 2G short in the flesh. And I'ma eat my plate so good, I'ma let a little bit water dish. And I'ma beat down your block so rich, top off, you'll feel every leg. I went to another bitch house, cause that bitch ain't clean up the kitchen. And I ain't saying no names, give a goddamn shit, let that motherfucker learn. I left my phone unlocked, woke up, bitch, had a damn chalkboard in front. Wanna know who is this, who the fuck is that, bitch, I ain't telling no business. And I bought another motherfucking chopper, and that bitch came with some haters, but hey, I'm overrated, pass overrated. I'm overrated, pass overrated, nigga. Hey, I'm overrated, pass overrated. I'm overrated, pass overrated, nigga. I pass overrated, my money coming steady, I'ma rock out my good talk. Hey, the women looking good, got them white cross, I was trying to see who got good talk. South Carolina, where them 5 thick women, they better know how to cook up. Hey, never take the bitch from scratch, that'll keep a nigga, yeah, on stop. I be in Atlanta with the hitters, zone 6 rockin' with a nigga. Had a nigga walk up to a G, but couldn't get past my security. Yeah, Hawk-a-lot, that's my dog already, and the police too official. Niggas in the world traumatized, tryna buy a clip off a nigga. But we gon' keep the shows coming, keep these hoes running hill for a change, he'll fly. But I gotta keep my fly swat on me, cause these nat bitches lying. I'm in North Carolina, doing real big shit, I been got new ties. If you ain't round broke, boy, you tired. But me and my niggas, yeah, pass overrated, pass overrated, overrated, pass overrated, nigga. Pass overrated, pass overrated, overrated, pass overrated, nigga. It's the Pass Overrated, man, mixtape, EP, whatever you wanna call it. I'm feeding y'all more, y'all run this shit up, man.